All right. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Marilyn's Cafe Society radio show right here on YouTube. How are you on this Wednesday, the 20th day of May, 2020? May 20th, 2020. How about that? I don't know if there's any significance, but it sounds good, right? The 20th day and the year 2020. Oh boy, I tell you, this year 2020 is going to be quite memorable, isn't it? I tell you, it's just a memorable year. And of course, sorry about that. Of course, this coronavirus is one of the things that's making it so memorable. It hit the world actually in 2019, last year, but the impact of it was felt heavily here in the United States starting in 2020. Let's see. The virus proceeded to take many lives, as we all know, unfortunately and sadly, and of course, millions of Americans who have small businesses are suffering or have suffered great loss. 30 plus millions of Americans are now without jobs. Schools were canceled on all levels, from grade school to universities, and eventually they all kind of segued over to online classes. In fact, here in the United States, the class of 2020, the high school class of 2020, was celebrated in a great way online this past Saturday. The broadcast was called Graduate Together. It aired on all major networks, including cable channels, and it streamed online. President Obama, Kevin Hart, the Jonas Brothers, Zendaya, Alicia Keys, and many more stars and entertainers brought greetings and performances and special messages to this unique graduation or graduating class of 2020. It was executive produced by LeBron James and presented by XQ, the Entertainment Industry Foundation, ABC, CBS, and NBC. And yes, the class of 2020 will definitely have a place in the history books, don't you agree? I think it was just fitting that the country got together to do something special for this graduating class of 2020, because after all, their world has been disrupted exponentially. And so I thought it was great. And I'm sure within their own local communities, they also were able to get together and do something so that these young people could have a memorable graduation, right? And then there was another one called Show Me Your Walk that streamed online, another graduation celebration. And this one was specifically for the historically black colleges and universities. This one was hosted by Kevin Hart, and it was star-studded as well, featuring Common and Chris Paul and Debbie Allen and Omari Hardwick. Who knew he was such a prolific, awesome spoken word artist, rapper, oratorical performer? I'm telling you, he blew it out of the water. If you did not see it, you need to find it. It's called Show Me Your Walk, the HBCU edition. And it was just a great thing that they did for the college students who once again was impacted by COVID-19 to the extent that they too were not able to walk across the stage. So kudos to everyone involved in making sure that the class of 2020 would be celebrated and remembered, because again, it's nobody's fault that this COVID-19 situation has happened here in the country and around the world. On Sunday, the final episodes of The Last Dance happened. Now, who's been watching that? I have not, but I will catch up. I will catch up. I just had a lot of other things going on, but everyone is talking about it. It's a great distraction, right? A great way to keep your mind off of everything that's happening within the community and the world at large, and then even within your own individual lives. So I'm going to check it out. Listen, I knew back in the day that Michael Jordan was a beast. I just didn't know how much of a beast he was. I did catch some clips of the sports commentators chiming in after all the episodes, but I will go back and watch. And I'm telling you, if you did not live to experience in real time those awesome games that the Chicago Bulls played back in the day when they were winning those rings, and just when basketball was, it was just an phenomenal sport to watch, in my opinion. I've always preferred basketball over all the other sports, and I'm not gonna knock, the new class of, for lack of a better word, the new class of players that are out there playing in the NBA, professional sports right now. But I'm telling you, basketball was basketball back in the day, and The Last Dance, from what I could tell just from watching some of the clips, really kind of highlighted what it was like to play basketball with some of the greatest players in the NBA. So I can't wait to watch all of the episodes. And from what I understand, there's so much footage that was not used in these episodes that have been presented, that there may be some encore episodes coming up as well. So fingers crossed, and we'll see, right? All right, well, let's get to some cafe news, which is basically just some updates on what's been going on with this coronavirus. And let's see here, just real quick to bring you up to speed with the numbers in terms of how many have been affected and deaths and all of that. Here in the United States, as of this morning, there's 1.56 million cases that have been reported and 92,333 deaths. Locally here in the United States of America, in the state of Illinois specifically, the stats are this: just over 98,000 cases have been reported, 4,379 deaths have been reported, and more than 621,650 have been tested. And I guess testing is important because then you can, I guess they will know who has it or who had it, and they can kind of track people and maybe control their movements to the degree that others won't be affected, if that sounds legal. I don't know. But anyway, again, the naysayers are saying that there will be another hit late summer, early fall. I just rebuke all of that. I think that this virus, I believe that this virus will go away just as quickly as it came. And will the world be the same? Probably not, but at least we can get on with the business of living our lives, right? All right, and then that latest stimulus update, it looks like that proposed $3 trillion legislation that's known as the HEROES Act has passed the House, as we reported on Saturday, and is now sitting in the Senate until after the Memorial Day holiday break. And I guess the Senate will begin to pick it apart and make some changes, and the negotiations will begin to happen. And perhaps if this HEROES Act comes to fruition, it probably won't be till sometime in mid to late June. So we'll see. And of course, it's all just to add additional support to the economy. I've been kind of tuning in here and there throughout the week, listening to some economists and finance experts and people of that sort chiming in, and you just hear six in one hand, a half dozen in the other. Some are saying that we're just putting this country more in debt by, um, you know, coming up with all of these stimulus plans and, dispersing money to individual peoples as well as local governments and state governments and corporations and small businesses. They're saying that the country is just going further in debt. However, on the other hand, you listen to some of them and they say, hey, we're America, we got plenty of money, so this is not going to hurt the economy, because the whole point is to stimulate the economy, and everybody will be paid, so to speak, and that should help. So I don't know. I'm just kind of reporting this and and hoping for the best. All right, and on Saturday, I did talk about the fact that the Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey um, um, sent an email to all of his employees announcing that they would be able to work from home permanently. And we talked about how this work for home situation for a lot of businesses may become permanent, and the potential effects that it could have on commercial real estate. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But what I failed to report was the fact that Twitter donated $10 million to Reform Alliance. Their sole purpose as a not-for-profit is to fight for individuals who are incarcerated, and so this $10 million will be used to make sure that those who are incarcerated are taken care of during this COVID-19 crisis that we're facing. So they're going to be inundated with lots of PPE supplies, equipment in the prisons across the country to keep everybody safe. Now, as you may have heard, reportedly, those hardest hit by coronavirus here in the United States include those who are incarcerated in prisons and jails. Also, the nursing home communities are hit hard, along with now these meat packing plants. Have you been hearing about that? That's very interesting and concerning. But obviously, the African American community as well as Latinos are also included in that group of hardest hit by this coronavirus. So good for Twitter, that they're contributing, they're helping, those who don't have a voice, right? All right, but my question is this: why aren't the states and the federal government providing this PPE for the incarcerated? Why aren't they doing this? That's the question I have. And of course, you know how to reach me if you have an answer. Producer at MarylandsCafeSociety.com. Producer at MarylandsCafeSociety.com. All right, so that's what I have in terms of our cafe news, everybody. I do want to jump right into Cafe Talk. I did kind of get it posted earlier in the week, and hopefully I'll be able to read some responses from you guys in terms of it. But the Cafe Talk for today is: how are you holding up mentally and emotionally as we continue to push past this pandemic that we're experiencing? What is helping you through this crisis? What kind of social support do you have? What kind of coping methods are you using? I know it's a series of questions, but you get it, right? And so I'll be sharing some responses when we get to the end of this, but I did just want to just talk about it for a bit. And the reason that I was concerned is because of what I recently went through myself in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, probably it was heightened because I did lose my dad recently, but that was just on top of everything else, right? And so I started doing a little research, and I did run across some articles here and there where they're saying that some psychologists and psychiatrists and people who deal with people are a bit concerned that this pandemic and quarantine will have some long-term effects on the mental health of individuals. And here are some of the concerns that they have. Number one, they're saying that some people may develop post-traumatic stress disorder. And I know, like me, when I hear about PTSD, I automatically think about those who have fought in the armed services and the veterans, and then of course those who live in those communities where there's a lot of violence and come from countries where there's a lot of upheaval and violence. But PTSD can be triggered by any kind of distressing or traumatic event, sexual assault, natural disasters, terrorist attacks, a bad car accident, shootings, obviously a global pandemic, right? And so that's why they're saying that we may see more cases of this post-traumatic stress disorder following, after we come out of this pandemic, because of the fear that people have of catching it, or questioning whether they say it's gone, but is it really gone? And the fear of, because they've lost jobs and money may run out, that fear of not being able to support themselves financially, how, it's impacting their lives and so forth. So some of the experts say that there's a level of sadness and grief that also comes along with all of that, right? Due to the social distancing. And this all happened so fast, just within a short period of time, from March to this is mid-May. So you add that to the fact that no one can say for sure when this thing is going to end, although there are some predictions that it's going to come back in full force again before the year ends. And as I said, as I started this segment, some of us have lost loved ones, just in general, and some have lost loved ones to this coronavirus. And so it just heightens the anxiety and the stress and the sadness and grief that, people will develop this post-traumatic stress disorder. Or at least that's what they're concerned about. And so that's one. Another one that they're concerned about, another worry that they have, is that some people may develop, if not the PTSD, at least just some anxiety in general over when they think about having to leave their homes. Yeah, and they think that anxiety could even morph into the more serious mental health disorder called agoraphobia, which is the fear of leaving your home. Some people have a deep fear of leaving their homes or any other place that they feel safe. And so that the fear is so deep that it creates a panic or a feeling of being trapped or helpless. And so they are concerned that, some people, because we've all been, quarantined or ordered to stay home, and it's all happened so fast, and in such a short period of time, that some people may not be able to come out of that, and it may, as I just said, develop into an anxiety about leaving home, or even worse, agoraphobia, which is a deep, serious fear of leaving home or any other place that the person may think is safe. The third concern that experts have is the lack of social connections and contact that people are experiencing could lead to depression. And of course, this lack of social connection or contact could just be perceived, right? Um, but whether it's perceived or not, it's still a real thing for the person. And so they're thinking that, again, they could, someone could fall into depression because they feel that they are all alone. Um, and this is despite having the virtual or online connections that we've all become so used to, right? We know that it's not a replacement for real human contact, face-to-face contact, but um, you know, just the idea, the notion, the perception of being socially isolated from people can trigger this mental health disorder called depression. They're also afraid, and this one's really serious, of the risk of suicide increasing. Rory O'Connor, who is a professor at health psychology and a director of the Suicidal Behavior Research Laboratory at the University of Glasgow in Scotland, believes that the coronavirus pandemic has created a perfect storm for a possible increase in overall suicide. Now, he told the Huffington Post in a recent interview that although a rise in suicide is not inevitable, experiences from previous epidemics and economic recessions suggest that suicide rates could increase, particularly in vulnerable groups. Now, he's stressing that action must be taken now to identify who is most vulnerable and then to ensure that the appropriate mental health and social supports are in place to mitigate the risk. So I hope not, but sometimes that depression, if you slip, you start out feeling sad, and then the sadness can go into having the blues, and then the blues could take you into what they call clinical depression, and then if you don't get the help and support that you need, that depression can lead to suicidal thoughts, and that's something that we don't want to happen, everybody. So if you or someone is experiencing a level of depression or a serious emotional distress that's related to this COVID-19 and the sheltering in and the quarantining and all of that, and you think they may be considering harming themselves, I encourage you to call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. That's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. You can also text HOME, that's home. Text HOME to 741-741 for free. That's a 24-hour support from the crisis text line. Now, if you happen to be watching this and you're outside of the United States, you can visit International Association for Suicide Prevention for a database of resources. All right. So again, that phone number to call is 800-273-8255, or text HOME home to 741-741 for free 24-hour support. And if you're outside of the United States, go to the website of the International Association for Suicide Prevention for their database of all the resources that are available to get yourself or someone else the help that they need. All right. And then lastly, the final concern that the experts have is for children. They believe children could end up experiencing long-term mental health effects as a result of being quarantined, sheltered in, what may appear to be socially isolated. So, if we think about it, these children have had what is considered a normal or proper schooling routine disrupted. There's the social isolation piece. And for some, I don't know if you guys caught some of the news reports on yesterday, but for some of these children, they are forced to be exposed to domestic violence situations that may be happening in their homes. And then on top of that, coupled with, and some of the less um, communities that are financially distressed, some of the children, even without the COVID-19 situation happening, have been um, living in homes where they aren't getting their proper nutrition. So everything is just compounded due to this COVID. And, you know, um, it's been recorded and or reported that there were increased rates of behavioral problems and depression in children who lived in the city of New York. This is when the experts went back and looked at the aftermath data, the aftermath of the September 11th terrorist attacks and how the effects that it had on children. And so they're saying that the kids, especially those that lived in those communities like New York City, where the attack was major, and I think in the DC area, the Pentagon was hit or something, that the kids have shown, the data shows that the kids have shown behavior problems and depression after those attacks. And especially if they had parents who were working as essential workers, police, firemen, frontline workers in stores and things of that nature. So if you have concerns about the children in your life, you need to do this. First and foremost, the experts say you need to make sure that they know that they are loved. Just love on them, hug on them, kiss on them, hold them. Let them know that they are protected and safe. You also want to remind them about all the people that they have in their lives, in their communities, in the world, who are working hard to keep them safe. Allow them to talk to their friends on the phone or on social media and other family members. Play board games with them. Take walks in the community. Let them go out to play in the yard. Take them for a drive in the car. Let them help you cook meals, just keep them in a safe place emotionally and physically. And again, just shower them with love. I would say go so far as to coddle them. There's some sociologists, the psychologists who think that coddling children can cripple them to some degree, but I think during a time like this, it will only help them feel safe and prevent them from having anxiety, feeling stressed, going into depression, right? We don't want those things for children. Now, if you're not a child, some things that you can do to cope would be not to worry. I know it's hard, but don't worry, be happy. Remember that song? Don't worry, be happy. And pray, above all else, pray. Keep that connection to our higher power, the creator of this world, God, the Lord, Jesus the Christ. Pray. Just pray, everybody. And focus on your immediate future. For example, try to establish routine in your life. And this is, we're what? 2 solid months in right now, so we should have this happening for ourselves right now, all the way down to planning your meals, activities, as we just talked about, for those who have kids at home. You want to have a schedule for when they're supposed to be doing their schoolwork and other activities. And even for yourself, if you're working from home, try to stay on schedule. And then you also want to focus on the very distant future, meaning after this whole COVID thing is over. Focus on things you could be doing now to help you in that future. For example, your personal development, your career goals, your small business that you want to start. Keep yourself occupied with working on those plans and those goals as well. Just have some predictability in your life is what they're saying. And all of that busyness should help you feel less anxious and should, mellow out the stress levels. And if God for thank God if you have a loved one, a significant other, a husband, a spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, someone else in the household with you that you truly love and enjoy spending time with. Of course, none of this applies to you, right? Because you're in your happy place right now. But for everyone else, paint, plant a flower garden, work on other home improvement projects, get organized, right? Create more love memories for yourself and your family. And if you're feeling disconnected socially because we can't visit each other right now, go ahead and continue with the Zoom calls, the video calls and the phone calls and the text messaging and the drive-bys when your friends or your family arrive by and wave and say hello and you're on the porch or in the window. Whatever you have to do to replace the immediate human-to-human contact or face-to-face contact, do it so that you can maintain a sense of connection with your loved ones and keep that bond that you have going. And who knows, you may create some new ones, right? Particularly with all this time we're spending online, you might start making new friends that way as well. So listen, if none of this helps, if you're already there, if you're already depressed, if you're already experiencing anxiety, you may want to talk to a professional. And unfortunately, the traditional in-person visits with your therapist or psychologist or social worker or whatever is impossible right now because we're all still practicing that social distancing thing. They are available on the telephone or through video calls, all right? So just reach out and ask for help. And if you, again, know someone in your life that you feel may be, slipping that way, just reach out to them, stay in contact with them, share with other people that that they know that they need to hear from you, all right? And do the best that you can to make them feel socially connected and not so isolated, right? All right. Well, I think that's it. I just wanted to pop in and share that with you. I have heard my phone popping off as I was sharing this with you, so I'm going to share what some of my contacts have been saying that they've been doing. Just praying. They're praying. All right. Another one. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you so much. They're just trying to stay positive during the pandemic. Okay, this one was from Saturday, and she likes to keep her paper roll over, not under. Remember, we were doing the cafe talk, the fun cafe talk on Saturday, and I said, how do you like your toilet paper, over or under? I told you the overs won, although I did get some more unders after we did the show on Saturday, but overwhelmingly, people like their toilet paper over versus under. So, all right, thank you guys. Thank you, DR. Thank you, MMP. Thank you, LM. I thank you guys so much for your response. And let's see, who else do we have here? Okay. Let's see. I know. All right, Joseph. Yeah, I know it's hard. It's hard. And yeah. Um Okay, one of my friends, Joseph, who's retired from his corporate job, had has in the last year or so been working in retail, just to get out of the house, right, and keep himself, in the mix of things. And so he's missing that. He's missing his connection with his coworkers, and um, he is just he's just doing what he has to do right now to keep himself safe and all of that good stuff. He didn't really say what he's. Oh, yes, he did. So he said he does a lot of indoor and outdoor painting. He's reading. He is listening more to music. He's talking more on the phone. Remember, we talked about that during one of the other previous shows that. I shared that I find myself on the phone more now than I've been ever, doing more cleaning and car maintenance, uh, donating time to pick up food for seniors. Very good. He's keeping himself busy, doing some home improvement activities, watching court TV. Very good. Uh, okay. Remember that God has your back. Very good. Very good. All right. So, I appreciate you guys for chiming in. Prayer came from Fred. All right. So, yeah, let's see. Did we get anything here? Mm-mm-mm-mm. All right, so they'll be continue to come in slowly but surely. But yeah, the big question again, before we started sharing all of that information was, I asked you guys um, how you were coping. How are you holding up mentally and emotionally? Um, what's helping you get through the crises? What are you doing for social support and all of that? And so thank you guys for chiming in. I appreciate you so much. And I hope that this information that I shared will help others, um, you know, if you were struggling in an area. Exercise, one just came through, said that they're exercising. So yeah, these are things that we have to do, to keep our sanity, right? We don't want to fall into what, our experts are concerned about, post pandemic, that, some of these mental health issues may still linger on for some. So all right, I just wanted to pop in and share that, guys. I think that is it for this Wednesday. We'll get together again on Saturday. Just a quick reminder for businesses, services, products, brands, personas. I know it's a tough time. My show doesn't reach millions, but it is a vehicle that you can use through the show itself and the website and email list that I have to promote your business and hopefully help us out with this Christmas in July promotion that we're trying to set up. So if you're interested, reach out to us at producer@Maryland'sCafeSociety.com. And remember, you can catch me on Twitter sometimes at Maryland Cafe Soch, Maryland's Cafe Soch. You can find me on Facebook at Maryland's Cafe Society. The website, Maryland'sCafeSociety.com. The blog will be up later tonight or by tomorrow. And that's on Maryland's Cafe Society on WordPress. And of course, right here on YouTube, Maryland's Cafe Society. All right. Alrighty. Well, that's it, everybody. Until we talk again on this Saturday, be sure that you live, you laugh, and you love the rest of the week. As always, it's a pleasure and a privilege to hang out with you. And peace until Saturday. Take care.